Hey guys, how are you tonight? It's Red Orca bringing you another Halo Wars video. This one is Red Bull, DropShockTrooper, and a Wars Legend versus me, Nick MX66, and I do not even try. And it is on a 3v3 on Exile. And by the way, I am just assuming that's Red Bull because obviously that account is a new account, but he's playing Arbiter and he's playing with DropShock, so that's my best guess. They are running Anders Double Arbiter, and we are running Forge Anders Arbiter with me, DropShockTrooper, and Red Bull all playing Arbiter, Nick being Forge, and Try Hard and a Wars Legend being Anders. Now, we are running double UNSC, which means we're not super excited to see a double Arby combo, but just because, yeah, we have two D-bombs, but those have to be used pretty strategically, just because the Arbiter can come along and, well, mess you up, and if you don't have a D-bomb, and you don't have either of them, and there's still the two Arbiters, and you didn't kill them while they were D-bombed, then you're in a little bit of trouble. So yeah, we this game is from September, and I did sit on it for a while because we were trying to keep those names secret. One and two, this being a 30-minute game, I'll admit I was being kind of lazy and I didn't comment it sooner than now. So also I decided to post this one just because Wars Legend, not Wars Legend, excuse me, Halo Wars gameplay commented that Double RB messes up WNSC, and he's right. But I think it also depends on how the Double RB plays it. Like if it had been, I think, on 14, we'd have been in big trouble. But it being on Exile, we had a bit of a chance. So it also depends on how their team plays it. So you'll have to see how it goes. Now, as you can see, DropShockTrooper double based, but Red Bull did not. And as you saw him walk down the ramp there past the green bases, he is coming to cheese me. So I probably should be, instead of getting pads, I should be trying to upgrade this base faster. Like, I'm looking for the money, but really I should have just not done that pad and I should have done it already, or we should be spawn blocking him because this is just not upgraded fast enough because he's already here. The other thing we could be doing, you see that Nick is going up there to spawn block, but we weren't in time. So one of the big things if an Arbiter can cheese you is spawn block it, have the base upgraded, that kind of stops that. Also, what I'm about to say does not apply to this team here. Because this team is a good team. Like, I have never had a bad game against these guys. These guys are challenging and good. But if you get like a team, like a low-level team that tries to do this double RB and the cheese fails, they'll usually quit. That does not apply here. Like I said, these guys are good. I was surprised to see DropShock playing Arbiter just because I usually see him playing UNSC, but obviously he can play Arby. So we knew we were in for a tough game, and I definitely made a mistake here not having my base upgraded before Red Bull came over there. So there's that. So I think that base is going to die, so I'm not putting any more work into it. I'm not upgrading it. Mostly going to worry about trying not to lose my main. Because one thing that double Covey can do, especially double Arby, but double Covey in general can do to a double UNSC team on Exile, is just try to cheese the Covey out of the game. And that's me, so I get to worry about that. But I did mention in a previous video when we were facing WC on here, we've lost games actually focusing on just everything on getting the Covey out of the game. So I don't think it's a good move. And like I said, if I had got the base upgraded sooner, they wouldn't have been able to be so effective at it, or if the spawn block had worked. But the blue Arbiter is on my other base right now, so they are focusing all their efforts on me, and as you can see, he has grunts as well. So, fun. I'm going to spoil a little bit here by saying this is a really long game and I don't get to participate in a lot of it. So there's that. The other thing I was kind of surprised to see is their Anders went Marines. So they are putting everything into taking me out of the game right now. So that's not fun for me, but there you go. I do think they would probably be in a better position right now as a team if their Anders had just tried to go Hogs or some other kind of units besides Marines. Just because, yeah, you can rush with those, and infantry rushes are definitely are powerful, but I don't feel like for a single UNSC combo against double UNSC that's a very good idea. I think it put him behind, because you'll notice that our Anders is completely unmolested, and is just going to be able to build up. I mean, yeah, a lot of Warthogs against double RB isn't very effective, but at the same time, those Arbiters are spending a lot of money killing my bases and things. Like right now, he's taking out my temple. Thank you so much. Also, Forge, while he still is just on one base, is completely also unmolested. Now, by the way, you'll notice our Forge didn't expo early. We didn't click him. And I didn't take and I took the middle ring expo. Usually, we would want the Arbiter expo up front, the way we play it, but with it being against double Arby, we basically called for me having both spaces up front would be a bad idea because I would just lose them all really quickly. But that's happening anyway. But that was the rationale behind that decision to have the open base be up there. So that's why we did that. Also, you've noticed that Red Bull back there was briefly trying to buy that base. So their Arby is eventually going to try to expo. He wasn't going to go single base the whole time. Now I keep looking at my base. I'm leaving that pad up because I'm trying to get enough money to buy another base. Because I don't have the money right now, and I'm not really going to get that much back from destroying it. I also keep looking at it because I'm asking my team if they'd like me just to try to click them my one click that I could, and because I'm going to go out of the game, and they're both like, no, that's ridiculous. That'd be stupid. Just try to get you back into the game and build up. But willingly to making this a 2v3 by leaving on purpose because you don't have the money, that's dumb. Don't do that. So that base isn't going to live, so I'm going to blow the pad now. I'm 5 resources short from a base, so that's fun. But one of my teammates clicks me. That would be Nick, who does, right there. If you're wondering, by the way, watching this, I'm N7 Slayer, Nick is N7 Hunter, and Tryhard is N7 Fury, which, if you don't know, although you should because it's an amazing game, N7 is a ranking designation from Mass Effect, and we all do like playing the multiplayer on that, so that's why we did this. But there's one of those Arbiters that I was talking about hitting Nick's units, so Tryhard just cleared that back base for me so I can take it because they're going to be looking at the open ones, and the hope is they're not going to look there right away. So DropShock is already on Banshees, so he's flying those around. Red Bull was running around raging, although Nick has gone ahead and built flamers to try to counteract all the infantry that their Anders built. So that's what's going on right there. With Tryhard, of course, being on Gauss. So we have Gauss, flamers, an Arbiter with no money, and I think Forge lost most of his Warthogs. So there's that. But yeah, like I said, their blue Arbiter is going air. So there's that. Right now, with him only having their Anders having really only infantry, we're trying to see what they have. And instead of just staying on defense, Tryhard is going to go on offense a bit and try to do some damage and take out one of those Anders bases. Now you'll see that Vehicle Deeper right there. He's going to go tanks, I think, because he's against W and a C, and because he's behind on Warthogs. So they're going tanks and air at this point. Well, tanks and Banshees and Arbiters. And so that is something for us to keep in mind. You'll notice all the Banshees are all over the back base. They're hitting Tryhard's base, and there's not really much you can do about it because I don't have anywhere near vampires. Alright, so there's that D-bomb I mentioned, just because, again, there's with the double Arby combo, and his Banshees and an Arbiter on his Gauss, and then the one tank right now that War's Legend has that can do a lot. So basically, Tryhard's microing around that, trying to basically still take that base out and not lose any units. Since he killed off the infantry, Nick's going to park the flamers on my base just to keep the Arbiters off of it, because again, right now all I'm doing is just trying to get into the game. So when I said I don't play much this game, I wasn't kidding. So with that D-bomb and killing off that tank and killing off Blue's Banshees, since okay, I misspoke when I mentioned this. They both have Banshees because they can, because there isn't really anything you can do about it at this point. I mean, yeah, we have Gauss, we can't fight 2 pops. So basically, Tryhard is focusing his energy on killing the UNSC just to try to give us a bit of a leg up here, since we basically need to do what we can. So War's Legend is going Gremlins to try to stop that, but basically right now they're stripping Tryhard's back base. And he's basically doing as much as he can with the hogs he has. He just killed that base. He's flaring there. He's going to possibly try to expo because he's going to lose that one. But there's 2 pops of Banshees on his back base. And right now Nick building is still single base forge, but he's going Wolverines at the moment because they're just trying to get the air under control. Because with the Anders deciding to go infantry in the beginning, he doesn't really have anything. He lost his tank. He has one base. He's not as much of a threat right now as those two arbiters are, which they're basically being a giant headache. And so since I can't really do anything else, I'm just going to go around and scout those bases with my Arby to see that they didn't take them, see if that their Anders isn't expoing over there, and just making sure that that's not happening. So, okay, so that Anders did take this base, and he is trying to pump vehicles out of it. Excuse me, probably tanks, but just because no other vehicle would make any sense for him to make. I'm trying to get a temple up, one so I can actually upgrade my Arbiter, or build units even, or a shield. So they're not really going to let me do that, because at this point I can't build that, the shield even, so... One thing looking back I should have done was put up a turret, though. Although I couldn't upgrade it to anti-air without the temple, so them taking both of my bases out early does put me in a bad spot. But again, like I said, I think they made a giant mistake putting all their energy into killing me because my teammates were just allowed to build up, and I think that's what takes us into a long game. And one thing is W and a C that is to your advantage is to let it go to late game, which the double Cuffy team shouldn't want unless they get like Tech 3 units, which they don't have at this point, of course, since it's 11 minutes. But air still continues to be a problem. But so they have 2 pops of Banshees. We have Wolves and Goss, and Wars Legend is definitely working on getting out as many tanks as possible while we do this. But Tryhard's going to cryo and get a bunch of purples Banshees while shooting down blues while that happens. And so far managed to save that base. With the wolves guarding me, I'm going to go ahead and try to get an eco instead of just trying to keep pushing for that temple, just because I can't afford to do anything. So I do have the temple, if you didn't see that going up while they were guarding me. So I do have that. Excuse me, I misspoke. I'm tired. I shouldn't have done that. But I have the temple, but basically I need to try to work on getting an eco now. And so then I can hopefully go Tech 2 and be able to help my teammates with fighting those Banshees. Although I will, now that I have a temple, I can build a grunt and walk him over. But so far, no luck on that. So right now my teammates, since I died, are basically like saying that Nick is bringing his wolves up back to guard against the air, and still has all his flamers from before, just because the Arby's didn't kill them off. And then Wars Legend has tanks and gremlins, with Tryhard having a whole bunch of hogs still at this point. I have no eyes on either Arbiter at this point, just a bunch of Banshees from them. None from Purple, since he lost most of his to that cryo, but definitely Blues are still being a nuisance. So Nick's going to go ahead and basically send his flamers down in after the enemy units, because at this point, what else is he going to do with them? But they were definitely very useful early for stopping the Marine Rush. But at this point in the game, he'd like to free up the ability to have more of another kind of unit, so he's sending them down at the tanks and fighting the tanks with them. Alright, well there is DropShock's Arbiter coming up. They still haven't managed to kill this base, but they're definitely really trying. And Flamer's down there chasing the tanks off. And then at this point now, Nick has tanks as well, so still a single base forge. Again, him being forged, that's not really so much of an issue, just because his eco is actually pretty good considering. Now, I know we need vampires, but I built a Banshee at first just because I don't have the tech yet, and I was going to try to help the tank fight. That was my thought before anyone calls me out on that. But it was a misguided thought because I'm not going to get those out either, and theirs are teched. So I'm really just going to work on getting that grunt in that. If they let me, I mean, they're going to try to kill it. But if I can get that grunt in that reactor, I can start helping my team out actually finally at 15 minutes in the game. Besides scouting and doing a little bit of raging, I've been kind of useless. Which, I mean, it happens when they kill you out of the game early, but it's not good for my team to have, you know, basically me be dead weight. So I'm going to work on getting vampires up because, okay, so there we go. We're down, they're down. Their purple arbiter just died, even though the D-bomb was over there. Basically, Tryhard having to kill that arbiter that way. Still, luckily for us, it worked out and he was able to kill him. So I think, like I said, their Anders really messed up by going Marines early because our Anders was able to get hogs and just hold them off and do base damage, and then the Forge having the Flamers, you know, killing off all their infantry was able to hold that off, and so basically Anders' Goss was able to hold the air off while Forge got first Wolves to help and then now tanks. So basically, again, like I said before, if you're double Covey facing the double UNSC team on Exile, don't put all your energy into killing their Covey because, yeah, they won't really have a Covey presence in that game, but you're still not likely to win unless you end the game early. So, because again, late game is WNSC's friend. So I'm finally getting units up. I'm trying to bring them over here to see if my teammates can get expos back. Tryhard, of course, has that other one, but he did have this one in the back for a while, and they killed it. Also, at some point, Nick would like to be able to get an expo, although, again, he's doing really great at getting the units out and everything for being single base UNSC. I mean, look at all the tanks he has. But, basically, we're in the corner and they're not able to push up on us. And after the initial push on offense, we haven't really been playing offense because we can't. Although, Tryhard killing that base early definitely put us in a position to be where we are now. If you'll notice, Nick is trying to take that back base, but DropShock has his Banshees all over it, so that is a problem. And on one level I could pull out, but another one I was trying to stay over the tanks, even though the air is there, just because I was trying to have their tanks have to shoot up for this engagement. But now that the Arby is there, I'm going to leave and try to fight his Banshees back in the back. Although the base is already lost, so not really too much of a point to doing that. And the Arby is still latched on, so I kind of went the wrong way there. But which definitely bad to have air in a fight with an Arbiter, because all you're doing is giving him free health and making it harder for your teammates to target him, because he's flying up in the air. So definitely something to avoid. I'm sometimes definitely make that mistake with my air. So just pointing that out for anyone else, although I'm sure you all already knew that. Seems like most tips I'm giving you already knew, but just putting it out there anyway. At this point, I think it's definitely turning into a longer game than the other team was anticipating. It's a longer game than we were as well, but again, I think both Nick and Tryhard knew we had to turtle up, and so that's did. And both their arbiters are still going banshees, so I'm of course going to keep going vamps at this point, but they don't have anything to counteract it yet. So we're going to start looking around and making sure they don't have other bases. Their War's Legend is healing his stuff. Um, we're still going to try to get Tryhard's still going to try to take that back expo back there, and then we're going to see if we can get Nick another expo as well. Well, an expo, just because they've both taken turns trying to get that one back there. There's a good chance that when he's highlighting that War's Legend has that, just because at the stage of the game, although he's not going Goss, so he doesn't need a triple, it just, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he has it. And yes, I haven't rebuilt my Arbiter at this point, but he's not teched, and I don't really have, I have, a shield and I'm single pumping. At this point, we need anti-air more than we need another Arbiter in the fight, so that's why I haven't rebuilt him. For anyone who was wondering. So now they have wolves to kill my vampires, they have gremlins for my teammates' tanks and warthogs, and then they have the Arbiter. And of course, he still has his cryo, which he just used. That would be War's Legend I'm referring to right there. So, although DropShock's Arbiter is about to die, and with that Gauss shot right there, he just did. So, but there still is the purple Arbiter waiting in the back. So, again, with double Arby, one Arby dies, the other one comes in. So there's always that. Like I was saying before about, the air being in there giving the Arbiter free health, so I'm getting out, and then my teammates are able to kill him. There is all that air back there taking out that expo again, though, so I'll come right back over and defend. Although I'm going to send one over to scout, just because I think, again, we're trying to get nick that back expo back there, so. At this point, after killing both Arbiters, my teammates are able to go on offense. And actually, I'm going to take that expo, just because I haven't had one since like 5 minutes in the game, and Nick's army's already built up, and he said he didn't need it at this point, so we're going to push through right there. And like I said, because they killed both Arbiters, they can go on offense. So we're all going to come in, and that base is going to die with Tryhard taking the one right next to it. And first things first, I'm going to shield that base, though, just because they could kill it so quickly. Their Arbiter is back out, so there's DropShock right there. And I'm going to go for Tech 3 at this point. So that's what's going on right there. Let them all get away, though. That was a mistake. But there you go. And but right now we went from being in a very bad spot to being in a decent spot to being in a very good spot. So again, like I said, I think them focusing all their energy in their Anders going Marines early was a big mistake. And right now, Red Bull is going Hunters to try to fight our to fight the W and a C, and Tryhard's going to Cryo, Drop Shocks Banshees. I'm going to go for Tech 3 at this point, kill the Banshees off, although I could also go for Banshees myself. But the game is pretty much over at this point, so they're over there pushing on Blue's bases, and then they're going to go down and kill Wars Legends last base, and I'm not saying Hunters are a bad idea, but I think switching it this late in the game, not necessarily the best option. Maybe if he'd done it earlier, actually Hunters would have worked out pretty well, so that wasn't a bad idea. But I think maybe this should have come sooner. But either way, that is one of the ways double Arby versus double UNSC can go. Like I said, if it had been a different map, it would have been a different story, but this one being Exile and the way the early game went, that's why this one worked out the way it did. I hope you enjoyed watching this game as much as I enjoyed not playing in it. Well, at least that's how it felt. So, but definitely a lot of work on my teammates' part. So it was definitely a very fun game, and I appreciate you watching my video. And until the next one, thanks very much.